What's up, everybody? Today I thought I would do a tier ranking of the Give Yourself Goosebumps series. Even though I just did a numbered ranking of the series, I thought I would do this as well. I know some people enjoy watching tier rankings a little bit more, and they are kind of fun to make. And it also kind of deletes that pressure of having a numbered ranking and having to place certain books over one another. Whereas with this, I can just kind of lump a bunch of them into the same tier and say that I love them equally. So it makes things a little bit easier to rank instead of doing the numbered ranking. And yeah, I just thought I would do this as well. So to go over the tiers real quick, the S tier is basically books that are perfect or near perfect, like 4.5 to 5 stars. A tier is like 4 to 4.5 out of 5 star books. B tier is considered good territory, like good to very good. I would say these are like around 3.5 star books. C tier, these books are fine. These are ones that are just like decent, like average, like 2.5 to 3 stars. D tier is like 2 to 2.5 stars. These ones are not that good, but not terrible either. These ones are just kind of meh. And then F tier is the shit territory. These ones are horrible ones I will probably never read again. So, yeah. Okay, let's get started. I'm just going to kind of pull these out at random and throw them in whatever tier I think they deserve to go in. So, yeah, let's Diary of a Mad Mummy. What better place to start than my first ever Give Yourself Goosebumps book? I think this one is a solid B tier. This one, like I said, it was my first ever Give Yourself Goosebumps book. I have a lot of nostalgia for it. Love the cover, and I think it still holds up pretty well. It's one of the better ones, but I don't quite love it as much as I used to when I was younger. So yeah, B tier for that one. Trapped in the Circus of Fear. This one is going in the D tier, I think. Yeah, D tier. Trapped in the Circus of Fear is unfortunately kind of a disappointment. I think it's probably my least favorite special edition book. I wouldn't necessarily say it's the worst, but it's probably my least favorite, which is a letdown because it's got a cool cover and an awesome circus setting. You would think it would be a lot better than it is, but yeah, that one's not that great. Werewolf of Twisted Tree Lodge. We're jumping up straight into the best of the best here. Unfortunately, there were not any books that traditionally I would put in the S tier in this series. I didn't give any of them perfect scores. Yeah, I just didn't have any 5 star books in the Give Yourself Goosebumps series, which is kind of a letdown. But I think this one might come the closest to that, honestly. So we'll put Werewolf of Twisted Tree Lodge in the S tier. I had this one at number 1 on my numbered ranking that I did for this series. Okay, moving on. Weekend at Poison Lake, another special edition. This one's quite a bit better than Circus of Fear. I think we'll put this one in B tier. It's kind of on the lower end of B tier for me, but yeah, I think we'll put Weekend at Poison Lake in B tier. Escape from the Carnival of Horrors, the very first Give Yourself Goosebumps book. And this is essentially a choose your own adventure version of One Day at Horrorland. And I think it deserves B tier status. So yeah, we'll throw it in the B tier. One Night in Pain House, another special edition. I don't know why I keep gravitating towards these. I think this one is also B tier. Yeah, we'll put it in the B tier. Let's see here. Beware of the Purple Peanut Butter. This one is such a fun story. This one is also B tier, I think, but like upper end B tier. I know I said I wasn't gonna try to like specify these books over one another and kind of lump them all into the same tier, but I'm ending up doing that a little bit anyway. Yeah, Beware of the People. Purple Peanut Butter is really good. Not quite A tier, but close. So yeah. Zapped in Space. Another B tier book. Give Yourself Goosebumps is a very consistent series, very much like Series 2000. While it might not have a ton of like really top tier amazing books, there's really not a lot of bad ones either. I feel like the majority of this series is very consistent, solid B tier books, all pretty good for the most part. So yeah, Zapped in Space is one that I really enjoyed, and that one was a big surprise. I'll admit I'm not a big fan of the cover of that one, and I'm not usually partial to alien sci-fi type stories. It's not usually my speed, but Zapped in Space was a lot of fun. I really liked that one. Okay, Deep in the Jungle of Doom. Yet again, another B tier book. That's a really fun one. Check out Time at Dead End Hotel. This one, I'm actually not sure on. Um, whoops. B tier? It's like lower end B tier, I think. Yeah, I was almost thinking C tier at first, but we'll put it in B tier. I don't like it quite as much as some of these others, I think, but yeah, we'll put that one in B tier as well. Welcome to the Wicked Wax Museum, another B tier book. What a shocker. This one is definitely upper end B tier, though, up there with Purple Peanut Butter, I think. Welcome to the Wicked Wax Museum actually had a couple of scenes in it and descriptions that creeped me out a little bit, even as an adult. Yeah, that book has some pretty creepy stuff in it. I like that one. Let's see, Return to Terror Tower, another B tier book. This is one of the better special editions, I think. It does have some weird errors in it. There's like some weird rerouting and paths that kind of intersect, but it doesn't feel like that they're meant to. Um, it just I don't know. The gameplay in this one's a little bit wonky. There's some I feel like it needed some more explanation or a little bit better execution in like the final act of the book in like the final location that you visit. But it was still really fun. One of the more solid Give Yourself Goosebumps books, with some pretty good gameplay, minus a few like weird errors that it had. So yeah, I did really enjoy Return to Terror Tower. This is like mid or upper B tier as well, I think. So yeah. Curse of the Cave Creatures. This one was decent. It was fun, but it's one that just for some reason did not really stick in my memory a whole lot. Just it's not one that stuck with me for some reason. I don't remember a whole lot about it, but I remember not thinking or thinking that it wasn't bad or anything. So probably C tier for this one, honestly. Yeah, we'll put that one in C tier for now. Twisted Tale of Tiki Island. This one is D tier. Pretty much because I don't remember anything about this book. I don't think it was bad or terrible. It's just kind of meh, kind of like a cliche, stereotypical jungle tropical story. I don't know. Yeah, that one's just whatever. Revenge of the Body Squeezers. This one's B tier as well. I really enjoyed this one. Very similar to Return to Terror Tower in that it's better than the original books. It's also a direct sequel to Invasion of the Body Squeezers from Series 2000, and I think it is much better than those. So yeah, we'll put that one in B tier as well. Hocus Pocus Horror. This one's going in C tier. I don't remember a whole lot about this one either. I remember thinking it was just fine. Not bad, not great. Not quite bad enough to be in the D tier, though. Yeah, that one's definitely C tier status for me. It's Only a Nightmare. This one was a disappointment. It has a cool concept. It's essentially a kid's version of A Nightmare on Elm Street. But it was just too random with all the Dream World stuff for me. Just didn't have enough focus. I don't know. It just felt too random. It felt like one of those R.L. Stein books where he's throwing the kitchen sink at you and just bunch of just randomness and just too messy. And yeah, didn't really care for that one. D tier. Please Don't Feed the Vampire. This one is, I think, A tier. Yeah, it's like upper B tier, lower A tier. Yeah, we'll put Please Don't Feed the Vampire in the A tier. That one is really solid. That's a classic. Only Give Yourself Goosebumps book to have seen a reprint. Deadly Experiments of Dr. Eeg. This one is definitely C tier status. This one I also have a lot of nostalgia for. I think this might have been like my second GYG after Diary of a Mad Mummy, so I have some sentimental value for this one. But it is very, very messy, very confusing. Yeah, it's not a great book by any means. I can totally understand if some people hated this one, but it does have some charm to it and some fun moments. It's not completely terrible. C tier for Dr. Eek. All Day Nightmare, another B tier one. This book is weird in that it has three completely separate story arcs. Two of them are awesome. One of them has to do with werewolves, another one has to do with aliens, and those are both really good. And then the third story arc that has to do with like secret agent government type stuff is horrible. It is one of the worst, if not the worst story arcs in this entire franchise. So yeah, this is a very strange book, but I think for the two story arcs that are actually good in it, it deserves B tier status. Under the Magician's Spell. This is A tier or upper B tier. I think upper B tier for this one. Yeah, upper B tier for Under the Magician's Spell. I really like that one. That one has some really dark moments in it. And I remember a scene in it too in one of the story arcs that involves like this bridge and that scene was really cool. I don't know what it was about that scene. I just really liked it. It has like kind of like a dark fantasy vibe to it a little bit, which is maybe why I liked it. I don't know. Under the Magician's Spell, that was a really good one. Creepy Creations of Professor Shock. This one has one of the best, if not the best, story arcs in this entire franchise, which is the Mirror World story arc. Unfortunately, the other one, the Machine World, I did not care for quite as much. So I think this one is upper B tier story arc, or B tier, I mean. Yeah, upper B tier. If it was just the Mirror World story arc throughout the whole book, I'd probably put this one in S tier, honestly. It might be my favorite GYG. But yeah, I really recommend Creepy Creations of Professor Shock. That's a good one. Okay, Toy Terror. This one's going in C tier. It's another one I don't really remember a whole lot about, kind of like Hocus Pocus and Cave Creatures. I don't remember thinking it was terrible, though. It was just fine. So yeah, C tier for that one. TikTok, You're Dead. This one's D tier. It was fine, I guess. Time travel story. Not a big fan of time travel stuff. So yeah, that one's going in D tier. The I do remember liking the futuristic story arc more. There's one where you can travel in the past and there's like dinosaurs and stuff. And that story arc felt kind of wasted because it was a lot shorter. There wasn't much to it. And the futuristic story arc just had more interesting stuff going on with it from what I remember. So I like that one slightly more. But overall, I still wasn't really a big fan of TikTok. So yeah, D tier for that one. Elevator to Nowhere. This one is solid B tier, upper B tier as well. One of the darkest and most violent Give Yourself Goosebumps books. Yeah, Elevator to Nowhere is great. I highly recommend reading that one. It came from the internet. This one is, I don't know, like lower B tier, C tier maybe. Mm, I remember having fun with this book and thinking it was pretty cool. But this is also one that has faded from my memory a little bit. So like maybe this one deserves to go in C tier. I don't know if it's necessarily one I would reread. Yeah, we'll throw it in C tier, I guess. I do really like the cover of that one as well. Very cool. Danger Time, another time travel story, but slightly better than TikTok You're Dead in my opinion. I think this one is C tier status. Escape from Camp Run for Your Life. This one is in definitely B tier as well. Kind of upper B tier, like B plus tier. Escape from Camp Run for Your Life is a really fun one. Yeah, I don't know what else to say about it. Shop Till You Drop Dead. This one's definitely going in A tier for me. One of my all-time favorite Give Yourself Goosebumps books, and one that I don't really hear a lot of praise for or hear a lot of people talk about yet. This one is just a lot of fun. It has a really nice structure to it and format. I like the gameplay of this book. I like the concept. It's a really satisfying read overall. There is the one weaker story arc, like a side story that's not quite as good. Thankfully, it doesn't take up as much space as the main story arc, so it's not really a big detriment to the book either. And yeah, that one's solid A tier for me. I don't have much negative to say about it. Zombie School, another B tier book. I also really love the concept to this one, and it had the potential to be really good and incorporate some good gameplay elements. But unfortunately, the execution was a bit shoddy and just ended up being a slight letdown. But not bad. Like it was still pretty decent. I enjoyed it for what it was. So B tier for that one. Kind of lower B tier though. Okay, Lost in Stink Eye Swamp. This one is definitely B tier as well. Really enjoyed that book. Stink Eye Swamp is a good one. Scary Birthday to You, also A tier. I'm kind of hesitant to put it into A tier because I have some flaws, some issues with it that bring it down for me a little bit. I almost want to put it into B tier. We'll just put it into A tier because I don't have a feeling we're not going to have that many A tier books. So just to be a little bit more generous, I suppose. Yeah, Scary Birthday to You is a very fun book. Very creepy. One of the scariest Give Yourself Goosebumps books. If you're looking for a darker, scarier one, definitely check out Scary Birthday to You. That one will definitely satisfy that craving. So yeah, A tier for that book. Twister of Terror. This one's going in D tier. Actually, I almost want to put it in F tier. But I don't think I can quite put it in F tier just because it got me to chuckle a couple times. There's some goofiness and silliness in this book that's just sort of funny. And I don't think you're meant to take it that seriously. I think it's more of a comedic one. So it doesn't quite deserve F tier status, but it is not good. This is one of the last GYG books that I would ever recommend. So yeah. Trapped in Batwing Hall, another B tier book. Kind of like Professor Shock, it has one really strong story arc and then one weaker one. The strong story arc being the scavenger hunt, where you are trapped inside this haunted house with these monsters, and you have to find all of these creepy items like the hair from a werewolf, the bandage from a mummy, and if you don't find them by the stroke of midnight, I believe, then you will be turned into a monster as well, and I think trapped inside this haunted house or something along those lines. A very classic and fun story arc that deserves B tier status, I think, for that book. So yeah, B tier for Trapped in Batwing Hall. Okay, Ship of Ghouls. This one is C tier. It was fine. I don't really have a lot to say about it. I don't feel too strongly about Ship of Ghouls one way or the other, if I'm being honest. It was just fine, average. So yeah, C tier for that one. Night in Werewolf Woods. This book is going in the F tier. This one is not even a werewolf book. It's just about goblins and elves, and that's all I remember about it. I think I do vaguely remember there being a dinosaur or two in this book, like a pterodactyl or something. I don't know. I have no idea what a pterodactyl would be doing in a book about werewolves, but yeah. A lot of just random stuff in these GYGs with all the various story arcs and endings to visit. And Night in Werewolf Woods is definitely the most disappointing one, so yeah. F tier for that book. Knight in Screaming Armor, another stinker in the series. This one's going into D tier. This book is super, super messy, all over the place. Does not feel like it has any coherency or cohesiveness to it. It's just kind of a big ball of random. Yeah, I don't know what else to say about that one. D tier for Knight in Screaming Armor. Scream of the Evil Genie. This one is kind of in between C and D tier. I don't know. I'll put it in C tier. I don't really think it's that good, but I have some fun with it. It's kind of like Twister of Terror. It's one you don't take seriously. Go into this just, not even trying to find like a good ending or having any sort of objective, or really like clear story to it. It's just making wishes, having them backfire on you, and then lots of shenanigans follow from that premise. And yeah, it's just kind of a dumb fun read. That's basically how I can sum that book up. Your Plant Food. This one is B tier, I think, but on the lower end of B tier. Alone in Snakebite Canyon. This one is kind of B tier too, lower end B tier, I think. Yeah, I have some fun with that book. It's decent. It's nothing amazing. One of the story arcs, I think the one that I remember more is you basically have like these rattlesnakes eyeballs or something, and you turn into various different animals. And yeah, it was fine. It was okay, I guess. Secret Agent Grandma, C tier for this one. Actually, maybe D tier. Uh, Secret Agent Grandma was had some cool and fun ideas, but this is a very flawed book. Like very poorly executed with a lot of sloppy writing in it, honestly. Like this one almost feels like a rough draft as well. Like this does not feel like a finished product. I don't know if I want to put it in C or D. It's like upper end D tier, I think. Yeah, we'll put it in the upper end of D tier. Let's see here. Little Comic Shop of Horrors, another D tier book. This one is not bad. I know a lot of people really like this one, and it probably deserves to be liked. It's just that I'm not a fan of superhero comic book type stuff personally. That's just my preference. So yeah, D tier for Comic Shop of Horrors. Attack of the Beastly Babysitter. This is a solid B tier one. Lower end B tier, I think, but I really like that one as well. Curse of the Creeping Coffin. This one is upper end B tier. This one is just a classic. This was also one of my first GYGs, I think, along with Dr. Eek and Diary of a Mad Mummy. Diary of a Mad Mummy. Curse of the Creeping Coffin was also one of the first GYGs that I read, and it's just so iconic to me and I have a lot of sentimental value for it. And it still holds up really well. The story arc with the tombstones in the graveyard is it's so good. So yeah, that one's solid B tier, upper end B tier. Trick or Trapped. This one is C tier, I think. It is a very flawed story. I know some of my friends in this Goosebumps community hate this book, and I can understand why. It really reads like a rough draft. I don't think that they finished this book by the time the publication date rolled around, and I still have some fun with it though for what it is. Even with its flaws, there's still some fun scenes in it. It's got some nice humor, some creepy moments, and the concept alone is just so cool that even though it's it's kind of a mess, I still just think it's somewhat of a fun book. it's pretty entertaining for what it is, I guess. So C tier for that one. Into the Jaws of Doom. This one is A tier for me. And this one is definitely not the best. I will admit, I don't think many other people will have this one as high up on their lists or rankings. And it's just one that fits my tastes. I really like Jaws of Doom for its gameplay. It's challenging, it's fun, it's unique. It's one of the most unique GYGs in this entire franchise. And yeah, for me, that one is a solid A tier book. Escape from Horror House, B tier. A solid haunted house story. Nothing spectacular, nothing like super unique or crazy, but a pretty solid haunted house story. I really like that one. Invaders from the Big Screen, another B tier book. Kind of like in the upper end of B tier, I guess. I really enjoyed that one. I like the concept of it where you get sucked into these different movies and basically have to figure out how to escape from the movies back into reality. And it's just a fun book. That one's a solid B tier. Okay, Return to the Carnival of Horrors. Kind of a lackluster sequel. Not nearly as good as Escape from the Carnival of Horrors, but not terrible either. Probably C tier for that one. And then Night of a Thousand Claws. This one is B tier, but lower end B tier, I think. Yeah, lower end B tier. It's kind of like in between C and B for me. Lower end B tier, I guess. So yeah, that is my tier ranking for the Give Yourself Goosebumps series. This might be a little bit inconsistent with how I did my numbered ranking. But like I said, I wasn't totally confident with my placements on how I did my numbered ranking for this series. So I thought I'd do a tier ranking to where I can just kind of lump all of them together and not have to really decide, each individual book and where it would place. So yeah, that's my ranking for this series. Overall, this is a very consistent series, guys. I mean, you can see most of the books are B tier, and B tier, this is good territory. This is like in between like 3 and 4 stars, like 3.25 to 3.75 for all of these books. Some of these upper ones for me reach right at the 4 stars, basically with like Professor Shock, Elevator to Nowhere. I'd say those are probably 4 star books. And then, some of these other ones on the lower end, like Thousand Claws and Snakebite Canyon, those might be like a 3 or a 3.25. But nonetheless, like these are all good books. So this is a pretty consistent series for the most part. And you only have a few stinkers. I'd say, only like maybe these bottom 3 or 4 in the D tier and then the F tier are the only ones that I would say are bad. Like, I would not recommend reading those. So that's a pretty good track record. And overall, I'm pretty happy with the series. It was fun rereading through this. And that is all I have for today, guys. That is my tier ranking for Give Yourself Goosebumps series. I would love to see someone else out there do a tier ranking or just a regular ranking for this series because I don't really see a lot about the Give Yourself Goosebumps books on YouTube. So if you've read through these or are working your way through this, please feel free to share your content down below. Link to your own videos of a ranking for this series. I would love to see it. I would love to hear some more thoughts and opinions on these. And that is all I have for today, guys. So thanks so much for watching.